We have to talk about the War Doctor a little bit.
I guess we do, don't we?
A little bit, yeah. So how, because I think I've asked you many times, how did you get cast as the War Doctor? And you've told me, but I still don't get it.
We'll have it on the record now.
Yeah, so now we're putting it to camera. I was like, how, because you've told me how you did it originally, and then, but how did it come out? Did you just like do John Hurt's voice on, like, you watched Alien one day and was like, you know what? Yeah.
Not quite. It was, it kind of comes back round full circle from, what we were saying before about playing and just putting stuff out there. And again, the timing, because I don't know if it would work the same now. Because even in, how many years have I been doing it? 5 years. A lot's changed. A lot's changed in like how platforms and reaches.
So you're quite a long-running Doctor, then, you'd say, yeah?
In a way. Because I'd put some stuff out not long after the 50th anniversary, which was 2013, which is 12 years ago, which is horrifying. And I would have only been 20-something. And I thought, John Hurt's got a great voice. Let's see if I can do some other Doctor's speech in his voice. A 20-something trying to do the voice of a 70-year-old. It's, there's something in it, which I still stand by, but it's very much a caricature of that. But I put it out there, and a guy that I'd worked with before was doing another project where he wanted to do a poem, a love letter to Doctor Who, and get as many impressionists as he could to do a verse in the voice of each Doctor. And I believe it was hearing that put me on the radar again, and the timing of it, because I'd kind of drifted out of, not of fandom as such, but out of the creative community of fandom, because real life took over. So this thing I did for a guy called Luke Oliver, it's called Ode to a Time Lord, if you want to check it out. That's kind of how it all began. That kind of put me back on the Big Finish radar. And the other thing that was that was to my advantage is that I'd done other stuff. I'd done that animated series, I'd done other things. So I wasn't just a Doctor Who voice actor. I wasn't just a fan. I was a voice actor.
That is a massive fan.
That is a massive fan, yeah. Which, is not to be sniffed at, because
no, not at all.
I knew the lingo, I knew the language, I got the show, because the War Doctor is such a niche within a niche, and all those stories that they've told, I'm the guy that has to explain it to the rest of the cast when we turn up on the recording day and the writer's not there. So I said, where does John Hurt fit in? I'm like, okay, let's get the Bayer tapestry of Doctor Who out and explain this.
We'd be here for hours. There's like 27 of them now.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So I got an email out of the blue from Nick Briggs, the executive producer and the voice of the Daleks. And it popped into my inbox just before I went out to a pub quiz. And I thought, nah, this is a joke. This is a joke. But I read it, closed it down. And then the rest of that evening, I was just like, I said to my friend, I got an email from Nick Briggs earlier.
Standard.
And we set up a Zoom meeting, which was oddly prophetic, and just to sound each other out, because I think he just wanted to check that I wasn't insane. Well, yeah, I'm a fan, but I'm one of the nice ones. I passed that test, and he said, and this was really good of him, we'll find a small part for you in something. So you can come down, audition, but we also get to pay you for the day, and you get a credit. You get to work with us. And at the time, I was just like starry-eyed, thinking, oh, amazing, thank you. And it turned out to be a lot more. I think it was also just a measure of seeing what was I like in studio. That was the test. Yeah. Was I a fanboy, or could I hold it together? Jury's out.
Was that the Tom Baker one?
That was the Tom Baker one.
The headshot from Big Finish has been heavily edited.
Which they cropped Tom out. So I look so nervous and overwhelmed with no Tom in that photo. And that's the photo they used to announce me. And only now, 5 years later, they've put Tom back in. Yeah, it's only just come out, my first gig. And listening back to it, I could tell I was nervous. I've learned so much since then. But yeah, for my first gig, I was in the room with Nick Briggs, Tom Baker, Louise Jameson, John Leeson, the voice of K9, John Culshaw, impressionist extraordinaire, who was ironically one of the first people who showed me that you can make a living. There is opportunity in being able to not just voice act, but do other people's voices as well. So to get to meet him was incredible. And Reiki Iola, who is a big, ironically, Welsh actress.
Big up the Welsh.
So it was a god tier cast, and somehow I got through the day without turning into a puddle on the floor. And yeah, auditioned at the end of it with Louise Jameson, who mentored me in a one-to-one session afterwards.
Okay.
So it wasn't a straight out offer afterwards. They said, the voice is great. We feel like you just need a little bit of work. Okay, it's not a no. So I got to come back down to London in February, just before kind of everything hit the fan, with Louise. And we
Louise. Ugh.
No, and we just workshopped a script, which was just a huge privilege anyway. To when you do classes and workshops, you're in a bunch of people, to have one-to-one time with someone who writes, acts, directs, done everything, and she's been doing it for over 40 years. To have that wealth of experience, incredible. And it's Leela from Doctor Who. And there was a point, she taught me how to connect with a script, how to emotionally connect with it, and how to action it. And there was a point, she taught me all those exercises as well. And there was a point where there was a scene where the war doctor basically confesses to having committed genocide, which is a lot. I've not really got any personal relatable experience for that. But we'd gone through the whole script, actioning it, getting connected. By the time I got there, I'm getting a little bit emotional thinking about it, because the scene affected me, what I was saying. I was like, oh my God, not even trying. It was just coming through. But having got to the end of having done that scene, I was like, I didn't know I had that in me. I thought up to then I'd just been kind of getting away with it, throw a funny voice at it and, take the check and run. But I was like, oh my God, I can act.
Yeah.
Which was quite a revelation. Then lockdown happened and I thought, oh God, where do we go from here? But then we did the first one and it was a year before it eventually released. Well, it got announced before then. I was like, oh God, how's that going to go down? There was a little bit of from the fandom for about an hour. Then they released a clip of the first scene and everyone kind of shut up, and we're like, okay, we're sold now, because it's a tough sell. You're replacing John Hurt, Sir John Hurt. So the idea was blasphemy in some ways, but they got the clip and they're like, okay, actually, we'll give this a chance. First set released. Well, how many are we in now? Like, I've done more War Doctor than John Hurt did by this point. He's always the governor. He came first. He laid down the groundwork. But all through, even at this point, 5 years on, I've not heard a bad word said about it. Not that I've been looking, but I am so grateful still that people have embraced it in the way that it was intended. I've been to conventions and people queue up to say nice things to you, which is an insane thing and situation to be in. And you think, if the rest of the world was like this, if people could be that generous with what they like about what you're doing, wouldn't that just be better?
Yeah.
Because me as a person, I'm like, oh God, is someone just going to pick fault with me for anything? It's very healing. It's very positive, and it's just a glorious thing that I wish more people could benefit from. And the spirit of that was in more things.
I had a look on Reddit and I found the war.
You found the dirt.
I found no loads of dirt about you, John Carley. I don't. That's a lie.
Subscribe to the Patreon for all the dirty content.
Yeah. Or to see me and John Carley watching the Doctor Who escape rooms. I'd watch that, to be fair. But no, I had to look on Reddit, didn't I? And I found the War Doctor Reddit thread, and with people reviewing it, and I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I wonder what people, and everyone was really nice, and I was like, oh, this is boring. I was like, oh, no one's got a bad word to say, and I was like, oh, well, that's really nice.
Oh, yeah,
they seem to embrace it really, really nice, and obviously, it's big shoes to step in and fill.
Yeah,
so.
And it's something that everyone seems to win from. Like, I win because it's regular work. Like I said, there's not a lot of that about for anyone. I get to, you never expect something from your childhood to kind of embrace you like that. So a lot of my time. It doesn't feel like a complete waste. I've had that validation. The audiences seem to love it. And we're continuing that legacy of the character and of John Hurt, which, I don't wear that lightly. I know it's a lot. But yeah, if everybody wins, then that's amazing. I don't think I'll ever have anything in my life that will land in the same way again.